I'm here.
Okay.
I'm back, Ed.
I don't have a picture of anybody, so.
Hello.
Okay, there we go. All right. Nice. Thanks for the break, Ray. That was a good idea.
No problem. When you're our age, it helps.
Well, talk for yourself.
I knew you were going to say that, Ed. I was busting your brain just then.
Well, we're still
He's a
looking
liar.
for that. We're still
He's a
looking
liar.
for that. I have my ears cleaned and they don't find anything in between, so.
The
It's just
Q-tip
how it
goes all
works.
the way through, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I can tell what kind of hat you're wearing from your ear, from my ear. Got it? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. It's 7:26. Now what?
We're waiting for everybody.
By the way, I'd like to take a couple of minutes to relay again what we saw at Petrucci's, because there's a bunch of people interested in listening to what's going to happen with the hotel. Not the hotel, but the apartment building.
Do you want to bring that up in your supervisor comment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'll have to mention something in our rundown at the beginning of the meeting, because we talked about it in the workshop, and then
Right.
you or Deb or both of you could bring it up in your supervisor comment that what you want to say. Sure.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah,
no
Ed, you pretty much said it, so you can take the ball.
Oh, gee, thanks, Deb. You're letting me hang by myself, right? Is that what you're doing?
No!
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's okay.
I know you are. I know you are. We took the tour, and
Yeah.
that's we did.
We did. Yeah.
And two of their complexes actually.
Yeah. Right. Yep. But I think other people are interested in it. I know that there's at least 3 or 4 people I've talked to since then, just since yesterday, and they're very interested in some possible future for that area. Well, you were there, so you.
Yeah.
Some of those people are very interested in it. So, and they seem to know what they're doing. So.
Yeah.
And I thought the apartments that they had were really first class.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. All around. I mean, everything that we looked at.
Yeah. Well, they showed us the best, but that's to be expected anyway,
Joe Galdo, are you back on?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What was it? Was that you?
Yes,
Is that
sir.
you, Joe? You're good. Okay. I have 7:29, so right when my thing hits 7:30, if it's okay, I'll get us started.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, I have 7:30. So without further ado, we'll get tonight's meeting started. This is Ray Weldy on behalf of the Lower Southampton Township Board of Supervisors. Welcome to the Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020 public meeting. This meeting is being held virtually via teleconference and was duly advertised as such. To begin with the meeting, will we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we begin the meeting and start running down our usual list of items, as I did in the work session.
Ray, do you want to tell them who else is here?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, along with us tonight is Supervisor Sue Cummings, Supervisor Ed Shannon, Supervisor Deb Kaplan, And regarding Mr. Kutsaratos, I'll turn the microphone over now to Miss Cummings, and she'd like to read a statement. So, Sue, it's all yours.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I wanted to read a comment that Kim had forwarded to me that he was not able to be at the meeting this evening. So Mr. Kutsaratos was not able to attend tonight's meeting due to the passing of his mother. If we could keep his brother and his children in our prayers, he would truly appreciate that. My condolences go out to the Kutsaratos family, as well as his extended family, and my best wishes to all of them.
Thank you, Sue. And on behalf of the Board of Supervisors, I'd like to express my condolences, my family's condolences, and the board's condolences to Kim and his family. And if there's anything that we can do, please contact us. We'll do anything that we can. And best wishes moving forward through this. It's a sad day. It's really a sad day. So thank you, Sue.
And Ray, thanks for that. That's good. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
Yes.
Moving ahead, the board met in a work session at 6:30 p.m. And during the work session, the board spoke and was given an update by the township manager on the annual operating budget for the year 2021, which is item 2 on tonight's agenda. We were updated on the final capital reserve fund budget for the year 2021, which is item 3. We were also updated on the final sewer capital reserve fund budget for 2021, item 4. We were updated on the final library capital reserve fund budget for 2021, which is item 5. We were updated on the final operating reserve fund budget for the year 2021. The board also received an update from Love Grows and our township solicitor and the Parks and Recreation director concerning the vote tonight and the pending vote on the Love Grows lease at Playwiki Farm. So we'll get into that as agenda item number 7. We also were given an update by the township manager on item number 8, the auditing firm, and what the projected fee limits are for 2021. We were also updated on item number 9, which is the tax levy and possible resolution 2020-37 by the township manager. We also received an update on the items 10 and 11, which are resignations from the Planning Commission and the Veterans Advisory Council. We also received an update from the township manager regarding a waiver request on some late sewer fees. That'll be part of the manager's report. We received an update from the Public Works Director on the renovations that are ongoing at the old District Court building at 1500 Desire Avenue, located next to the Township building. And last but not least, we received an update from Mr. Shannon and Ms. Kaplan on a recent meeting that was held with the Petrucci developers and regarding the Brownsville Road corridor and a vision for development of that corridor. And we'll receive an update from Mr. Shannon and his supervisor's comments near the conclusion of this meeting. After the workshop, we took a 5-minute break and we segued into the meeting that we're into right now. Next up would be public comment. The public was asked if they would like to comment, to email their comments into the Township Administration, public comments at lowersouthamptontownship.org. Mr. Gaudo, are you aware of any public comments that would be read into the record tonight?
None have been submitted for tonight.
Okay, thank you. There being no public comment, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which is rather long. Item 1A on the consent agenda is the approval of minutes for November 12, 2020. Item 1B, approval of budget minutes, November 12, 2020. Item 1C would be the approval of accounts payable December 2nd, 2020. And I believe I would be asked to sever in Mr. Kutsaratos' absence one item, and that would be from page 1 of the December 2nd, 2020 accounts payable. Page 1, vendor 139, which is Begley, Carlin, and Mandio Law Firm. And out of the 3 payments under that that vendor 139, there was one payment specifically for $247.50 that would be payable for the Ottinger versus Lower Southampton Township litigation. So the accounts payable item 1C would be all except vendor 139's $247.50. We'll vote on that separately. Item 1D would be approval of certain reoccurring monthly bills December 2nd, 2020. Item 1E, ratify approval of accounts payable November 25th, 2020. Item 1F, ratify approval of certain reoccurring monthly bills November 25th, 2020. Item 1G, approval of escrow release for Oliver Healthcare Packaging in the amount of $12,000. Item 1H, approval of escrow release for Tatiana and Vadim Karchenko in the amount of $34.40. Item 1I, approval of escrow release for Aisling Corporation Lethal Pest Solutions in the amount of $5,000. Item 1J, approval of escrow release for Bucks County Intermediate Unit in the amount of $701.92. Item 1K, approval of escrow release for Outstanding Home Care Solutions in the amount of $111.35. Item 1L, approval of escrow release for Jack and Amy Trimbula in the amount of $250. Item 1M, approval of escrow release for Republic Bank in the amount of $52,194.37. And item 1N, approval of escrow release for Republic Bank in the amount of $4,361.17. So we would need a motion to approve the consent agenda as I had just stated it, items 1A through N.
Excluding one page, right?
Excluding the one that I had severed, vendor 139, $247.50. Yes.
I'll make that motion, right? Susan.
Okay.
Cummings.
Motion's been made by Ms. Cummings. A second.
Deb Kaplan, I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Kaplan. And as we've been doing, we'll do a roll call vote alphabetically. Ms. Cummings.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Kaplan.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shannon.
Yes.
Thank you. Ray Weldy, I vote yes. That motion to pass the consent agenda passes with a vote of 4-0. We would move on then and go back to item 1C and visit item 1C, vendor 139, page 1 of the accounts payable for December 2nd, 2020. And that would be a motion to pay Begley Carlin Mandio $247.50 for the Ottinger litigation. Is there a motion to pay that vendor?
I'll make that motion.
Made by Ms. Kaplan. A second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Shannon. And we'll go down roll call vote again. Ms. Cummings.
No.
Thank you. Ms. Kaplan.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shannon.
Yes.
And Ray Weldy, I vote yes. So that motion passes with a vote of 3 yeas, 1 no. Thank you. Item 2, I'm sorry, would be adopt the final annual operating budget for the year 2021. I'll turn this over to Mr. Galdo. He gave us a brief in the work session. Joe?
Thank you, Board Chief. All right, I would like to thank the resident and the board for having the pleasure of working on and in this being my 9th budget cycle for the township. Again, we've had previous discussions, and this is a challenge budget in a challenge year. But due to our fiscal prudence over the years, we have been able to increase or fund our fund balance from unassigned fund balance from 2.4 million to 4.2 million, and that 4.2 million will serve us well in the 2020 year as we end this year, as well as for the 2021 year that we're talking about tonight. As far as the annual operating budget, that is your general fund budget. Your revenue is 10 million, projected revenue is $10,582,736. Projected appropriations or expenditures is $11,996,675. Potential reserve to be utilized, this is just a potential, is $1,413,939. If that were to occur, we would be left with between this year, 2020, using about $800 to $1 million in reserves, as well as for 2021, utilizing that $1.4 million in reserves. We would still be left with a fund balance or reserves of $1.6 million. With that being said, we will actively monitor our revenue side and our collection efforts. We will be looking at real estate transfer tax, earned income tax, mercantile PPT tax, business privilege tax, the LST tax, which is your local service tax. We will be actively looking at the building permit side, and the building permit side will be predicated basically on the U.S. economy and the local economy of Bucks County. We basically will also be focusing on 2 interfund transfers that would be coming in to buttress up the revenue operating reserves, or the revenue side coming from the operating reserve fund of $1 million, as well as the capital reserve fund of $300,000. Again, only if needed would these transfers occur. On the expenditure side, in the annual operating budget, we have the general government expense at $688,000. Again, these are appropriations that probably are on the upswing, but I doubt we will be utilizing that $688,000. On the general government building plan side, we have $201,000. On the finance administration side, you have $142,000, and that's basically your software costs, audits, etc. As far as the police, the appropriations are high due to the fact, just in case if there's any type of emergency efforts, and that is prevalent through a lot of the departments, just in case if needed, they are budgeted at $7.6 million out of that $11.9 million budget. The fire marshal's office, again, that's part of the restructuring effort. They have $463,000 in appropriations. Protective inspections, which is the zoning side, that's $490,000 in appropriation. As far as public works, we have set aside slightly over $1 million in appropriations. Again, public works has some other buckets or funds that we utilize in the course of a given year, sort of like your liquid fuels, as an example, liquid fuels fund. But they have $1 million set aside in your general operating fund budget. The library fund, there's a transfer of $500,000 set aside. On the rescue fund, we had a transfer for $240,000 to assist them also. So again, we're going to monitor the expenses. We're also going to monitor our revenues and try to do the best we can and mitigate our financial exposure, just as we've done in past years. So for tonight, we would need the adoption to occur and need the board to approve agenda item number 2.
Thank you, Joe. I don't know if the board has any questions or comments for Joe, but I'd just like to comment one thing. And I remember meeting back on May the 4th, earlier this year. We had a meeting with the township manager regarding the budget crunch we were in and some things with township employees and so forth. And Joe projected this shortfall after 1 month of COVID-related impact financially, and had our reserve funds set up to absorb this impact and without any tax increases. And we've been able to absorb that, I think, through Joe and Peter Kim's financial wizardry. So thank you, Joe.
No problem, sir.
I'd like to say thank you.
What was that, Deb?
I'd like to say
Okay.
did an outstanding thing.
I think both of those guys are doing a hell of a job
Agreed.
Yeah.
with all the numbers they keep crunching, and no matter what you come up with, they seem to be able to get it done.
And we've been saving money for a rainy day, and this is the rainiest of days, and we have it, instead of having to raise taxes or go out and borrow it.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. So if there's no other further comment, then we would need a motion to adopt the final annual operating budget for the year 2021. Would anyone like to do that?
I would be happy to do that. Thank
Okay,
you.
motion's made by Mr. Shannon. Anyone second?
Deb Kaplan, I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Ms. Kaplan. We'll go down the line. Ms. Cummings?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Kaplan?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Thank you. And Ray Weldy, I vote yes. So agenda item number 2, the annual operating budget motion is passed with a vote of 4-0. Next on the agenda is item number 3, adopt the final capital reserve fund budget for the year 2021. Joe, I'll turn it over to you again.
Yep, thank you, Board Chair. As far as the revenue side, basically, we're not taking into consideration any type of RDA grants. We will be finding out shortly if that occurs in this for the next year or the next round of funding. Hypothetically, we could be projecting anywhere from $200,000 to possibly $500,000 if we're lucky, as far as entering into the capital reserve fund. But right now, it's a bare bones revenue setup, and right now you have $2,900 set aside. As far as the expenditures and appropriations, again, they're maxed out just in case if we do not get any type of RDA funding, let's say for the police vehicles and so forth, a public works vehicle and so forth. So you have max expenditures or appropriations set aside in the amount of $1,264,600, utilizing a potential reserve of $1,261,700. I doubt that we would be doing that or utilizing that total amount, but there'll be some of that money would be set aside for those appropriations, and there will be some payments that occur in the capital reserve. We were lucky for this past couple of years. We've been actively building up this fund for this type of rainy day event, and this gives us functionality and allows us to, assist the operating fund for once, and that's where that $300,000 would come in if needed, if we need it in the operating fund. So, if possible, I would like to see the board adopt the final capital reserve fund budget for the 2021 year. If they have any other questions, I'm here to answer.
Sue, Ed, or Deb, any questions?
I don't have.
No? Okay, then we would need a motion to adopt the final capital reserve fund budget for the year 2021. Anyone would like to make it?
I'll make that motion, right? Susan
Thank
Cummings.
you. Made by Ms. Cummings. A second.
I'll second Deb Kaplan.
Seconded by Ms. Kaplan. Okay, and we'll go down the line. Ms. Cummings.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Kaplan.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shannon.
Yes.
Thank you. And Ray Weldy, I vote yes. So the capital reserve fund budget motion is passed with a vote of 4-0. Thank you, Joe. Item number 4 on the agenda is the consideration to adopt the final sewer capital reserve fund budget for the year 2021. Joe, again, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Board Chair. Again, on the revenue side, basically that would occur, the $100,000, about $105,000 would come from the sewer fund. The sewer fund is doing fairly well in this given year for 2020 and hypothetically for 2021. We do have some challenges, again, being, Philadelphia water, and that, could potentially impact us in the very near future. But in this given projection, we're looking to transfer over $100,000 into the sewer capital reserve and an accumulation of interest that gives us that $105,000. As far as the expenditures or appropriations, that basically is for Mark's pumping stations that we have. I doubt we're going to be using $254,000, but the appropriations are there just in case if something happens or some sort of emergency pops up. Again, $254,000 is set aside there. The potential reserve that would be utilized is $149,000 even. I doubt again if we would be using that reserve, but just in case. And as we leave off going, as we would end 2021, we would still have a reserve of $1.15 million set aside in the sewer capital reserve. Again, for tonight, I would need a motion to adopt the sewer capital reserve for 2021. Board Chair.
Thank you, Joe. Sue, Deb, or Ed, any questions regarding the sewer fund?
Nope, not at the moment.
No.
Okay, then we would need a motion to adopt the final sewer capital reserve fund budget for the year 2021.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Made by Mr. Shannon. Second.
I'll second that, Ray.
Thank you. Seconded by Ms. Cummings. We'll go down the line. Ms. Cummings.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Kaplan.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shannon.
Yes.
Thank you. And Ray Weldy, I vote yes. So that motion to adopt the final sewer capital fund fund budget, I'm sorry, for the year 2021 passes with a vote of 4-0. Next up, item 5, adopt the final library capital reserve fund budget for the year 2021. Mr. Galdo.
Thank you, Board Chair. As far as the revenue section, that is also a contribution or a transfer of $10,000 that would be coming from the general fund budget, as well as $500 of accumulated interest. So that's how you get the revenue of $10,500. Projected expenditures, again, or appropriations take into consideration any type of emergency, such as like air conditioner, heating system issues, and so forth. So there's a projection of $20,000 there. The potential reserve to be utilized hypothetically is $9,500. I doubt that would be used, but just in case it is there if needed. If they would end the year, their reserve would be $47,500. So there is some reserve still left in the library capital reserve. If there is no questions for this particular budget, I would ask for a motion to adopt the final library capital reserve fund for tonight.
Thank you, Joe. Sue, Deb, or Ed, any follow-up questions on that?
I don't have any.
No.
Okay, then we would need a motion to adopt the final library capital reserve fund budget for the year 2021. If anyone would like to make that.
I'll make that motion, Deb Kaplan.
Thank you. Made by Ms. Kaplan. Ray Weldy, I'll second it. So motion's been seconded, and we'll go down the line. Ms. Cummings, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Kaplan.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shannon.
Yes.
Thank you. And Ray Weldy, I vote yes. So the motion to adopt the final library capital reserve fund budget for the year 2021 passes with a vote of 4-0. Thank you. And finally, item number 6, adopt the final operating reserve fund budget for the year 2021. Once more, Mr. Galdo.
Thank you, Board Chair. As far as the component, we're projecting 7,500 to be there. It's basically a very conservative revenue projection. As far as the expenditures, again, this goes back to the supporting of the 01 or general fund budget. And it's a hypothetical expenditure or transfer of $1 million if needed. The potential reserve that would be utilized if that were to occur is $992,500. If that were to occur, hypothetically, that transfer of $1 million, you would still have a reserve fund balance going into 2022 of $778,000. So still having a healthy reserve or operating reserve fund budget. If there is no further questions on this particular budget, I would ask for a motion to adopt the final operating reserve fund budget.
I don't have any. If Sue, Deb, or Ed, any questions?
No. Right.
No, thank you.
Thank you. Then we would need a motion to adopt the final operating reserve fund budget for the year 2021. If anyone would like to make it.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Motions made by Ms. Cummings. Second.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Shannon. We'll go down and vote. Ms. Cummings.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Kaplan.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shannon.
Yes.
Thank you. And Ray Weldy, I vote yes. That motion to pass to adopt the final operating reserve fund budget for the year 2021 passes with a vote of 4-0. Thank you. Item number 7 on the agenda is consider the approval of the Love Grows release at Playwiki Farm. The board spoke to our solicitor and our Parks and Recreation director during the work session about the potential lease for Love Grows, extending the lease fees. I believe, Frank, would you like to summarize this?
Yes, it's essentially the same lease as before. There was a question about certain improvements that needed to be done. The farm committee met with the lessee they were able to reach an agreement. It's been included in the proposed lease. The payment of $1,000 remains the same. The only other significant change was that the notices were changed to 180 days from 90 days due to the fact of the nature of the farming business. So it's essentially the same lease that you've been operating under with certain improvements to shield the containers from the road and when that work's going to be done.
Okay, and I believe, without getting into the finer details, that to shield the containers from the road is a 2-year plan with some plants and flowers and things to grow there to have them shielded within the next 2 years at a varying rate, right?
Yes, and that was the recommendation of the Farm Committee and Matt Gilbert.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions from the board members regarding the lease or the stipulations in the lease?
I think that the people that are running the farm have been very cooperative. I know we walked the farm some time ago, and they were very cooperative. What was it?
The 28th of September.
Oh, okay. And that works out very well. They were very accommodating, and I think they're doing a pretty good job right now. And if they can cover up those trailers from the road, that would be fantastic. So there'd be thanks for that. I'm done.
Thank you. Any other, I don't know, Ms. Cummings or Ms. Kaplan?
Welcome.
I just have a comment that I'm very happy that they're at Play Wiki, and I think they're definitely an asset to our community.
Yeah, and I agree. They've been over backwards to work with the township and the residents and the board to try to make this a viable operation down there, and we're glad to work with them. And they've developed a following in the community too. So if there's no further, thank you, Ed. If there's no further questions, then we would need a motion to approve the proposed Love Grows release for Play Wiki Farm.
And that's for a 3-year term, right?
Yes, commencing May of 2021.
Okay.
Correct.
Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make it.
Okay, made by Mr. Shannon. A second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ms. Kaplan. Ms. Cummings, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Kaplan?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Thank you. And Ray Weldy, I vote yes. So the motion to approve the Love Grows release at Play Wiki Farm passes with a vote of 4-0. Thank you. And congratulations to Love Grows. It's a great operation.
Yep.
Next up on the agenda is item 8, consider the adoption.
Mr. Chair, do we
Yes.
have to give approval for Matt Gilbert to sign the lease on behalf of the township? We'd have to give him approval for that?
I don't know. Frank, is that a separate approval, or does our approval of this lease give Matt the approval to sign in our behalf?
Well, I think it would just make it clear why he's executing it. It wouldn't hurt.
Okay. So we would need then a second motion to authorize Matt Gilbert to execute the lease on the board's behalf, the lease that was just approved by us. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make
Sure.
that.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll make that motion. That's happening.
Thank you, Deb. A second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Seconded by Mr. Shannon. Ms. Cummings, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Kaplan?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Thank you. Ray Weldy, I vote yes to authorize Matt Gilbert to execute the lease on our behalf. And Deb, thank you for bringing that up. A good call.
You're welcome.
Thank you. If that takes care of everything with Love Grows, then we would move on to item number 8 on the agenda, which we consider adoption of resolution 2020-36, appointing Zelenovsky Axelrod LLC, an independent accounting firm, to audit the township accounts for fiscal year 2020. And I believe Mr. Galdo has a brief synopsis of what the accounting firm does and what their fees are not to exceed?
Thank you, Board Chair. As far as the fees not to exceed, there's a combination of issues there. It's your normal audit as well as any type of GASB or FASB type issues that typically occur in a given year. I believe off the top of my head this year, the fee was about $28,200 or $300. So their fee I believe only went up approximately maybe like 3% or so. As far as the RDA grants, each respective grant, there is a $3,000 fee, but not to exceed 10 grand. In this given year, you had 4 grants that were submitted. So our max exposure over there is only 10 grand. So we've been utilizing Zelenoski Axelrod for a couple years now, have a good relationship, good working relationship, and would ask that the board consider the adoption of the resolution 2020-36 with the appointment.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions from the board members? I don't have any, but anyone else?
No.
No? Okay, then we would need a motion to adopt resolution 2020-36 to appoint Zelenoski Axelrod LLC, an independent accounting firm to audit the township accounting accounts for fiscal year 2020. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Mr. Shannon, second.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Ms. Cummings. Ms. Cummings, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Kaplan?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Thank you. And Ray Weldy, I vote yes. That motion passes with a vote of 4-0. Thank you. Item number 9 on the agenda is the consideration of adoption of resolution 2020-37, the tax levy for 2021. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Gallo to break down the proposed millage for 2021.
Thank you, Board Chair. I'm happy and pleased to extend to the residents and to the board that there is no projected real estate tax increase nor refuse increase as a side note for the 2021 projected year. The millage, I believe off the top of my head, this is the 13th or possibly the 14th year where the township had no real estate tax increase. We're staying at 18.08 mils. For the general component, we got 4.85 mils. For the debt component, 6.10 mils. For street lighting, 0.75 mils. For the fire protection, 1.55 mils. For recreation, 0.40 mils. And as far as the rescue side, 0.43 mils. Again, this would be a total of 14.08 mils with no projected tax increase or real estate tax increase for our residents. Especially, this is very important, especially in this economy that we're going into and have been in since the past couple months. So where a lot of people in the county and in this township have lost their jobs, and businesses that have gone under this COVID. So I would ask for basically the motion to consider the adoption of the resolution 2020-37 tax levy for 2021 at 14.08 mils.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions for Joe from the other board members regarding the millage?
I think it's just a magical people between Joe and Pete. They keep coming up with this stuff, and we haven't raised taxes for 12 years now, 13 years. That's saying something for these guys. How they take the numbers and make magic out of them. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the same here. I mean, Joe's told us in the work session under the operating budget that there was a projected shortfall of $1.413 million for next year. And even though we have that shortfall and they projected that shortfall last April or May, we're still able to get by with no tax increase. So Joe and Peter, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
Say that as well. I'm very happy for no tax increase.
So we need a motion.
Okay. If there's no further comment, then we would need a motion to adopt Resolution 2020-37 to approve the tax levy for 2021. Would anyone like to make that motion?
I'll be happy to make that. Yeah, go ahead. I'll be happy to make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Shannon, a second.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Ms. Kaplan. Ms. Cummings, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Kaplan.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Shannon.
Yes,
Thank you. And Ray Weldy, I vote yes. That motion to adopt the tax levy for 2021, Resolution 2020-37 passes with the vote of 4-0. Thank you, everyone. Item 10 on the agenda is to accept the resignation of David Reisig from the Planning Commission effective November 15th, 2020. Mr. Shannon told us in the work session that Mr. Reisig has been a member of the Planning Commission for many years, and he stepped down on November 15th, 2020. So the board would like to thank Mr. Reisig for his service to the community and let the community know that there is a proposed opening on the Planning Commission. And if anyone is interested in submitting a letter of interest to be appointed, that we were informed that letter of interest has to be received by December 15th, 2020, and that would be forwarded to Christina Lynn at the Township Administration Office. So thank you, Mr. Reisig. If anyone's interested, please submit your letter of interest. Do we have to vote on that, Joe or Frank, or
to do what?
to accept that resignation?
Oh,
I never think you do, but everybody always does it, and I never know why. I mean, if somebody resigns, they've resigned.
Yeah, I don't think we can
Correct.
refuse it, right?
no. Yeah,
To make him work for free.
put a noose around his neck and say, you're not going anywhere. You know, that's,
Yeah. Okay, well, we'd like to thank Mr. Reisig for his service and and for tendering his resignation in a timely manner. So thank you very much. Item number 11 on the agenda would be to accept the resignation of John James from the Veterans Advisory Council effective December 31st, 2020. Mr. James has been a valued member of the VAC for many years. He's one of the driving forces behind the planning and the actual successful running of the Travis Manion 9/11 Run for Heroes every year at Russell Elliott Park and through the neighborhoods back on Mallard Road. John's a valued member of the VAC, and we'll sorely miss him. And the VAC is short a member, and also we're looking for a member or interested community members to submit a letter of interest to Township Administration Christina Lynn by December 15th to fill that vacancy. The Veterans Advisory Council is sorely in need of veterans to not only attend the meetings, but also to join the board. So if anyone is interested and is a veteran, and this position specifically can also be filled by the family member of the veteran. So if a mom, a dad, a grandmom, grandpop, aunt, or uncle of a veteran would like to apply for this position, it's in the as part of the ordinance when the VAC was adopted. That would be acceptable. So if anyone's interested, please submit a letter of interest by December 15th. And John, thank you so much for your service. You're going to be missed.
would that be for any young person, Ray?
Any person. Yes,
Any person?
anyone. Yes.
Okay, thank
Ray,
you.
Ray, will that timeline, since he's not resigning until December 31st, will you go into January then for that?
Well, someone could submit their letter of interest, and then it would come up at the reorganization meeting to appoint someone on January 4th.
Okay.
Okay, if someone shows interest in it. If not, it would stay vacant until someone did show interest.
How many members do they need? Is it something where they don't have enough members? It is.
Well,
okay.
they need at least one now. One other member was unsure, but he reaffirmed his commitment and is seeking to be reappointed. But even though someone would not be a voting member of the VAC, we still need veterans to come out and attend the meetings and voice their opinion and tell us what other veterans need and make veterans aware of the services that are available to them.
Do they still have that session at the senior center that helps
Well,
the
we have-
veterans and tells them what's available?
Well, yes and no. Weren't able to hold the muster in 2020 because of the COVID, and it's highly unlikely that we're going to be able to hold it at least early in 2021 because of the COVID. But
No.
the muster is still planned to go on whenever we can get it back on. So yes and no.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. I believe that takes us through all 11 agenda items. I'll turn it over to Mr. Galdo now for the manager's report.
Thank you, Board Chair. Before I start the manager's report, I do have one other side item that I wanted to discuss. We received a letter from the Neshaminy School District. In it, they're requesting for a waiver of a sewer fee penalty. This is in regard to sewer charges dating from the period of 6/30/2020. So the waiver of penalty, the amount for the 4 accounts total $870.37. So they wanted to run the board, see if the board was willing to use the penalty.
That's $870.37 and a request for a waiver, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What I'll do right now is Ms. Kaplan is the vice chair. I'd like to turn this over to Ms. Kaplan to handle. In speaking with the township solicitor, since I'm an employee of the Neshaminy School District, I was advised that it was best for me not to participate in this section and not to vote on it. So Ms. Kaplan, if you would be kind enough to handle this section of the manager's report.
Certainly.
Thank
So we need a motion to a waiver for $870.34 to, is it the Neshaminy School District or is it to a specific school?
It's the Neshaminy School District, and it's $870.37. Sorry.
37 cents from the Neshaminy School District for the sewer bill because they did not receive the bill in the mail. So they are requesting a waiver on that. So can I have a motion?
I'll make that motion, Deb.
And can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so can we go one by one on your vote? Ms. Cummings,
Yes.
Mr. Shannon,
Yes.
and Deb Kaplan, I'm a yes as well. Thank you. So that's 3-0 on the vote.
And the chairman's abstaining from the vote.
Thank you. I was ready to just ready to say that. Thanks,
Thank you,
Ryan.
Deb and Frank. Joe, it's all yours.
Sure. If we go back to the manager's report.
Well, Joe, thank you for coordinating that music.
Yeah,
You're quite welcome. Thank you, Ed. Manager's report, the Red Cross blood drive, we're trying to get one more in for December 17th at the former district court building between the hours of 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Online appointments, and you can register at www.redcrossblood.org. Again, we're trying to assist the local hospitals in the area with regard to the blood drive. Lastly, Toys for Tots. We basically have another collection box out right outside the township building. If people would be so kind to assist people and children with various toys, that would be great. The last day for collection, I believe it to be for December 10th. Sometime after that, probably maybe a couple days after, they'll probably be picking the toys up. But I believe the official collection date ends on December 10th, 2020. I would also ask in the very near future, or if you have not received the local library with regard to their fiscal budget this year, basically due to the COVID and basically a lack of revenue and an increase in expenditures, their allotment that they typically receive from the township was slightly less than prior years. I believe about $140,000 less. If the residents would be so kind as far as their donation efforts to to assist our library. They have plenty of activities and they offer a lot of different things for the residents. So I just would like to put that note out there. And that's all I have. If I could quote Ed Shannon, I'm done.
Thank you, Joe, for that report. We'll go on to supervisors' comments then, as we near the conclusion. Ms. Cummings?
Okay. Well, I wanted to thank Joe and his staff for all their work and dedication. It's been a tough year, and them to be able to come, back to the taxpayers with a no tax increase for this year again. It's just an outstanding job. So I'd like to applaud all of you and your staff. I saw something on Facebook that I wanted to mention. I saw something, someone in the community, Manny Castro, had donated face masks to the Lower Southampton Fire Department. They looked wonderful. They showed one of the firefighters with that on. So I wanted to congratulate him for, thinking of our firefighters during this time and providing masks to them. And I also wanted to remind everybody, if we're still having it and Matt is still there, I did see also about the fun night at Playwiki Farm this Friday the 5th from 4 to 8. Is that still going on, Matt?
Yep, I'm here. It's going to be a little bit different than we've ever done it, but yes, we'll be able to still do the tree lighting. We hope to have Christmas carols. We'll try and keep everything as outdoors as possible. We'll still do the bonfire. So it'll be a little
Saturday or Friday?
Saturday evening from 5 to 8.
Okay.
Tree lighting's at 5, so might want to get there a little earlier.
Matt, any rain date? Friday.
There is not.
Good though. So
That'll just
and Friday.
Saturday looks like it should be a little nicer than Friday. So.
Okay, so there will be a rain date then.
We did not discuss a rain date. No, we're just going to anticipate it taking place.
Okay, and that is from 5 to 8, correct?
The tree lighting's at 5, so yeah, you might want to get there a little earlier.
Okay, wonderful. And again, glad to welcome Love Grows back into the township for the next 3 years. Wonderful use of the land, and they're a great asset to the community. And again, my condolences go out to the Kusaratis family for the loss of his mother. Thinking of you during these times. Good night, everyone, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Sue. Mr. Shannon?
Unmute, please.
You're muted, Ed.
Okay, thank you. Well, a couple of things. I think poor Kim, and he lost his mom, and that's a terrible thing to happen to any man, any family. So you got a lot of sympathy for that. I never met his mom, but I'm sure she's a wonderful person for the family. For Love Grows, I think they're very accommodating. They're looking forward to 3 years of profitability and helping the Playwiki Farm. That's terrific. Joe and Peter, no taxes for 13 years. I know Peter hasn't been here for 13 years, but we'll give him credit anyway, because he does work hard. Well, I think he works hard. I'm not sure about that yet. We're still looking forward to maybe having the parade, and I keep bringing this up because we have to start getting contributions, etc., in early mid-January to early February. So hopefully we'll be able to do it this year. Fortunately, we have enough money to do it regardless of new revenue, but it would be nice if we could do it. And the other thing that Petrucci's, there are several people that have asked me about that, and I would like to give them an update. Debbie and I went to visit their facilities in Warminster, and they are very, very nice facilities. For apartment buildings, they're really nice. And we had a long talk with Greg Rogerson, and Greg is one of the principals of Petrucci, I think. And we talked about the possibility of getting a plan for that area of Lower South. Everybody knows it as Trevose, and if they can come up with a plan and also include the apartment building, I think that would be helpful for all of us. What would they like to do? And I think they're very astute in planning those kinds of things and development of the properties and those kinds of things. So I'm looking forward to them coming up with something as a sketch plan. And all a sketch plan means is that it goes before the supervisor board, and we give them an idea whether we think it's going to fly or not fly. So looking forward to that, and hopefully they'll come up with something that everybody likes. And thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ed. Ms. Kaplan?
I just have a few thank yous I would like to put out. First of all, I want to say condolences to Supervisor Kutsaratis and his family for the loss of his mother. As Ray had said earlier, it's a sad day, very sad day. So we are here for you, sir. While we are approaching the end of 2020, I would like to say thank you to all our township employees for your dedicated work, especially during the trials of the last 9 months. Joe Galdo, our manager, to all our department heads, thank you for your leadership. And again, Joe and Peter, thank you for the amazing work that you've done on the budget with no tax increase. To the volunteers in our township, thank you for your dedication serving our community. To our residents, thank you for your patience during the necessary changes at our township building during this pandemic. I want to say Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. If by chance this is the last meeting of December, I don't know if we're having a meeting next month or next week or not. And I will say, to quote Ed, I'm done.
Thank you, Deb. And I'll close out. There's been a lot of residents that have stepped up throughout the year and done some great things for the township in this probably most difficult of years. Two come to mind recently. On November 27th, I was contacted by Keith Jenkinson. If you recall, Keith spearheaded a drive and produced bumper stickers that said support the police and the LOSO Popo. And he was selling those bumper stickers to raise money for the Lower Southampton Township Police Department. Keith went out of his way, spent his own money up front, fronted the money for the stickers, was able to sell them at events, the two Back to Blue rallies, the one in August and one in October, and at several other locations. And on November 27th, Keith was presented the Lower Southampton Township Police Department with a check for $525 to be used for the Lower Southampton Township's annual Shop with the Cop event. So it's a fantastic thing that Keith did, and I think he should be recognized for that. He wanted to do it at a public meeting, but since he started this endeavor, we haven't had a public meeting. So Keith, thank you very much for supporting the police department, for going out of the way, and for helping the police provide a Shop with a Cop opportunity for many youngsters. Thank you very much. And the other person is Tracy Seiler Morgan of Keller Williams. I mentioned her at the last meeting. Tracy lived up to her promise. On November 20th, 2020, showed up with some of her realtors at Pequessing Middle School with 35 turkeys and donated them to the Pequessing Middle School Thanksgiving dinner drive. And that was spearheaded by not only Tracy and her realtors, but also the administrators from Pequessing and a teacher that I'd like to recognize named Billy Barnes. I've known Bill for a long time. He's a heck of a teacher. And they all put this together and were able to provide 35 Thanksgiving dinner families. So thank you, Tracy, and the staff down at Pequessing for pulling that off. I'd like to wish everyone a happy and safe holiday season through Christmas, Hanukkah, and New Year's. And again, express my condolences to Kim Kutsaratis and his family through this most difficult times. We wish you the best. So if there's no further business, we would need a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. If anyone would like to make that motion.
I'll make that motion, Deb Kaplan.
Thank you. Motion made by Ms. Kaplan. A second.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Ms. Cummings. Thanks, Sue. Sue, your vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Kaplan?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Shannon?
Yes.
Thank you. And Ray Weldy, I vote yes. Motion to adjourn passes with a vote of 4-0. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending, and have a great holiday season.
Good night.
Okay. And you guys too, everybody. Okay.
Thank you.